I decided to walk away from $164,000 a year. So, growing up, of course, we're always taught to be the best you can be, excel, get good grades so that you can get a good job, so that you can make a lot of money and live a happy life. And I've always subscribed to that thought process. I've always subscribed to that belief. Literally, all throughout high school, K through 12, I was always striving to get, straight A's. My parents actually paid us for our grades. And so from a very early age, I was taught, that achievement equals more money, it equals success, it equals you having the resources in order to live the best life you can possibly live. And so I subscribed to that belief system all throughout my upbringing. Went to college, did the same thing. When I was picking majors, I didn't necessarily think, okay, what does Nicole like to do? What is Nicole interested in? I just simply thought, okay, what major will get me the best career where I can earn the most money and live a decent life? And so with that mindset, went throughout college. Second year of college, I interned at a public accounting firm. And I didn't love it. But I enjoyed it because I felt like what I was learning was very practical. I was exposed to a completely different way of living. I was exposed to, fine dining as an intern and being able to travel to clients as an intern. And that was something that A, was never really talked about in any of my circles growing up. And B, it wasn't anything that I personally ever experienced for myself. And so I was like, oh, this job, it may work out. Seems pretty cool. So after I interned for 2 summers, got a full-time offer. And like I said, I didn't actually love the work I was doing as an intern. I liked what I was being exposed to. I liked those experiences, the opportunity. And I was actually making decent money as an intern. A lot of my college friends were either making a lot less or they were doing free internships. They weren't even getting paid. And so when I got the offer, once I graduated and was able to start working full time, I'm like, this isn't bad money. Like, why not? Let's see where it takes me. So started in public accounting, honestly went in not thinking that I would stay forever, but I was also just open to whatever possibilities or opportunities it brought. I started out in audit, knew that I did not want to stay in audit because, like I said, I didn't love auditing. I didn't love what I was doing. I was learning a lot, but that's kind of where it ended. And so I was like, okay, I'll do a couple years in audit and then I will transfer over to consulting because I thought consulting was a lot more strategic. I thought you were able to use a lot more of like your creative brain versus your analytical brain. And so I'm like, okay, consulting is the way that I want to go. So was doing audit for about 2 or 3 years, got an opportunity to apply for a rotation that would essentially springboard me into consulting. Long story short, some things happened where I was essentially more needed in audit and didn't get a chance to take advantage of that consulting opportunity. So from there, I feel like my mindset was just like, is this actually the career that you're supposed to be in? Like, is this where you're actually supposed to be? So I was having a really tough year. And so I literally prayed to God and I'm like, God, is this the right career for me? If not, I need you to send me like a really clear sign. And what's crazy is after I said that prayer, that was probably the worst day professionally that I've ever had. And so I feel like that was a very clear sign, like, sis, you need to bounce, like you need to find something else. But I was in denial. So I'm just like, you know what? I've spent a few years here. The work isn't horrible. The money is good. I'm moving up. Like, I'll just stay. Big mistake. So I continued to stay. I allowed people to put their expectations of what I was supposed to be doing or I should be doing. I started wearing other people's expectations. I started letting what other people thought of my career drive my career. I was in the passenger seat of my career and I was letting so many people, from mentors to family members, friends that thought that they meant well, but they were essentially encouraging me to stay because of the money and the lifestyle that, you know, my career afforded me, not really understanding all of the mental and emotional taxing that also came with my career. And so, you know, I put my head down and I was essentially like white knuckling my entire career. Like, I feel like I was constantly having to advocate for myself. I was constantly having to ask questions as to, you know, why I wasn't considered for certain opportunities, or why my book of business looked a lot different than my peers. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, sis, all of the signs are pointing to perhaps this is not the career for you. And so I would say the last 2 or 3 years before I quit, I was thinking, okay, you've been here, you know, 7, 8 years. Why not just stay and, you know, beast it through and really try to break through and get to the partner level? And so I convinced myself, because I had invested such a significant amount of time and effort to get to where I was. And not gonna lie, like, I was doing pretty well. I feel like the folks around me were also supporting me in some sense to get set up to the next level. And so I'm like, all right, like, I'll stay. Why not do it? And so I had made that decision, but a still small voice was telling me, like, are you actually doing what I told you to do? Why are you here? Like, this is not where I told you to be. This is not where I want you to be. And that still small voice was God. And I had been kind of like shrugging him off, kind of like a fly. Like, I heard him and I'm like, all right, God, like, I hear what you're saying, but I've already made my mind up. Like, this is the path that I'm going to pursue. And it got to a point early this year. So every single year, I typically start the year off with prayer and fasting. And so this year was no different. I was praying and I was fasting. And I wasn't even praying like specifically about my job. I was just more so praying about where I was in life. So my prayers were focused on, you know, God, make me content with where you have me. If, you know, this specific career is where you have me, you know, open my heart and my mind to be content to where I am. If this is the specific place you have me to be, open my heart and my mind to be where I am, to be content where I am, not always thinking about what's the next move, what's the next place. Like, allow me to be at peace with where I am. So that was my prayer. That was my focus. About 2 weeks into my period of prayer and fasting, God told me, leave. And at first I'm like, okay, God, what are you talking about? Like, leave what? Are you talking about leave my house? Are you talking about leave the state of California? Like, I need some more clarity. So I prayed for clarity, and he was just like, leave your job. And I'm just like, all right, that's not really what I had, you know, in my plans. Like, I've, you know, resolved within myself, I'm going to stay, you know, I've worked this hard. I'm going to like really try to pursue it. And he's just like, leave your job. And I'm like, okay, so leave my job. And mind you, this is late January, early February. And if y'all are in public accounting or know anything about like business or the accounting world, like, that is the busiest time of year. And so I'm like, God, okay, you're telling me to leave my job, but like, are you trying to tell me to leave right now? Or can I wait, you know, until after busy season is done? And he's like, no, like, leave right now. And so I'm not gonna lie, I didn't immediately like act. I kind of was praying some more, like, okay, God, you know me, you know your daughter, you know who you created. Can you give me more of like a concrete sign as to, you know, if this is you? I don't want to get it confused with my subconscious or anything else. Like, I want to make sure like this is actually what you're telling me to do. And from the point that I prayed that prayer, every single sermon I was watching was all centered around taking the leap of faith and like leaving and starting over. And I watched this one podcast by Tim Ross. It was actually his kickoff episode for his B-Side app. And that episode just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, all right, God, like I hear you very loud and clear. So wrote my letter of resignation up, submitted it, had absolutely no plans, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know where God was taking me next. But I did hear him saying very clear, like, do you trust me? Because it's about to get rough. Like, you're about to enter into a space and a season that you've never been in before, which is unemployment, which is where I'm at now. You're about to enter into a space where like you have to totally rely on me. You have to be totally dependent on me. So do you trust me? And I had to really like think about it. And I'm just like, I've never been in a space where I totally submitted my plans to God. I totally surrendered, my life to God. I've never been in that place. I've given him parts of me. I've given him certain situations, but I've never been like, all right, God, you're in full control, especially as it relates to like my career. And so I'm like, all right, God, like I trust you. If you are asking me to make this big of a leap, you know exactly what my financial picture looks like. You know all of the bills that I have to pay. So I trust you. And so I took that leap. And I will say, since I've taken it, I've definitely had like this level of peace that I can't really explain. For those of you that know me, you know that my career was like my life. I literally made my career essentially an idol. I allowed my career to take the place of God. I was looking for my career to provide the resources that I needed. I was looking for my career to provide, the titles and the validation of who I am. I was looking for my career to put me in alignment with the right people. And I was allowing my career to completely replace who God was in my life. Like, God has to be at the center of everything. And I was losing sight of that all throughout my career. I completely let go of my boundaries. I would make boundaries and then set them, and they would be in place for, 1 or 2 months. And then I would completely allow those boundaries to be broken. A lot of y'all would tease me saying, oh, Nicole, you're always gone somewhere. I promise you, I had that thing on me, and that thing on me is that laptop. Every single trip I've ever been on when I was working, I took my laptop with me. I was doing some type of work. I wasn't just like out here gallivanting and not working. Like it was very, very real. It was long nights. It was early mornings. A lot of the times I literally, before I even brushed my teeth, before I got a chance to say a prayer or crack my Bible open, I was literally on my phone, scrolling through Outlook, making sure, there was no emergencies or no, fires I needed to put out, nothing I missed. Like, it got to that point where I just allowed my career to completely consume me. And I think that's a big reason why God was calling me out, because it's like, clearly you think that this job is giving you everything. You've forgotten that I'm the one who blessed you with this job. I'm the one who allowed you to enjoy success at this job. It's not you. It's not this job. It's me who's driving everything. And so I need to pull you out of that. And I need to put you in a season where I can reshape and reform and renew your mind. Because clearly you have gotten things twisted. And I'm just like, all right, God, I can't resist. I'm not going to put up a fight, because I've heard you trying to speak to me gently, and I was shooing you off like a fly. And so he had to speak very loudly to me and get my attention. And I can't say I have any regrets. Like, I love the people that I was working with. I love the fact that I was able to learn a lot at my job, but I know that that job did not align with my calling. I know that that job did not align with my purpose. That was not what I was called to do. And it was a tough pill to swallow, if I'm being very honest. It was a very tough pill to swallow. I don't want to, sit here in front like, oh, I'm just living this great life now that I'm gone. Like, no, it's a completely different way of thinking when you have to totally surrender control. If y'all know me, I've had basically every single aspect of my life planned out to the T. Like, there's never been a period where I didn't know what was coming up in my week. I am a planner. And so having to relinquish that control and just say like, all right, God, whatever it is that you want me to do, I'll do it. That's been rough. And I'm not perfect at it. I'm still learning. I'm still very much a baby in this new life. I'm still very much a baby in terms of like my faith and my hope and my belief. It's ebbs and flows. And what I can say that's been constant is my reliance on God. My prayer life has been constant. I've had to absolutely go to him every day, multiple times a day, like, God, help me out with this. And I feel like he's definitely been helping me by putting me in situations where it's just like, all right, God, like, clearly you got to handle this one. I don't know what to do. This came out of left field. Like, you have to help me. And I can truly say every step of the way, he's been making it happen. And so I'm encouraging y'all to please, please, please not allow your job to consume you, not allow anything to consume you or take the place of God in your life. Like, he has to absolutely be first. He has to be in a driver's seat, not your mentor, not somebody you look up to, not your boss. Like, God has to be in the driver's seat of your entire life, not just your career, because he truly has the best in mind for you. He has the best plans. A lot of times he'll have things in mind for you that you weren't even able to fathom or think about yourself, but it requires your complete surrender. And so I walked away from $164,000 a year in order to follow God, in order to surrender to his plan for my life. Praying that this helps somebody out there, and praying that if this is you, you would be empowered to do the same.